Live, I believe we are. What's happening, everybody? Everybody's having a fantastic whatever day you're watching this. Filming this on, well, it's April 2nd. And I want to talk a little bit about this obnoxious April Fool's joke that Dodge put together, talking about the SRT Hydra. Now, initially, today's live chat was actually going to be focusing around EVs. Basically, it was going to be EV chat. And I was going to talk about some specifics about EVs in general and how they all kind of work into what will end up becoming kind of the new world plus EVs. Michael Corleone is in. Got the flex. I like it. But instead, as I was trying to put that chat together, and we can still talk about that, but not for the monologue, not for this show anyway, because this show is going to kind of walk along the same steps as a late night show, where this isn't going to be the most polite, let's just say it's not going to be the most politely worded monologue. So get ready, because I'm thinking I'm about to lose my mind on this. So, Chuck Rice is in. Nice. So, how do I begin this bit of a tirade that I feel like I need to unleash out of me, because I'm so... I'm searching for the word. It's a combination of feelings that I have with this April Fool's joke that to me falls more in lines of disappointment, bad taste, bad timing for Dodge to put out there. You know, it's one of these things where, look, Dodge, now's not the time to be joking around about hydrogen-powered cars. The thing is that if you read the report, it was on Car Buzz was where I was first sent to see this. First of all, some of the things that would tip you off that this was abject bullshit was the names of the people that they were quoting. And if anybody had paid any attention when they were reading this, you would see names like Ivan to free, to play on words. I want to break free. I want to break free. It's you know, kind of a stupid little, you know, whatever. Anyway, the other one was Dr. Mo Power Baby, more Power Baby. I can't even say it without saying what it actually meant. So play on words with the names that were included with this. Again, Ivan Tabrafri and Dr. More Power Bobby, which was stupid. What the hell, Dodge? What, Sum Ting Wong didn't want any piece of this? Yeah, Nomo Ouchie couldn't make it to this party? Those had to be lead engineers on this project, right? But the problem is that you've got so many of your loyalists that took that April Fool's joke to heart. Let me tell you something. I was getting touched up by several of you guys saying, hey, listen, Dodge is kind of walking in lockstep with what Ford was doing, and it's going to be it's going to be like this really cool internal combustion thing, and it's hydrogen powered and all this other stuff. And I'm thinking, guys, you got to think this through. It can't be 100% right. You've got fuel quantity limitations that come with hydrogen and all this other stuff. Anyway, it's like, God, talk about misleading. You know, this is one of those things where you really start to break trust. And in an era right now where we've got the complete floundering and flop of a launch of direct connection, where you've got power brokers that can't get their hands on parts. Nobody seems to really know who their power broker is. And by the way, where's the fucking pomp and circumstance to announce this? They put together this huge, basically a press release talking about how great this direct connection thing was going to be, only to not make a big deal of the actual opening of the store, the ribbon cutting. There was never a ribbon cutting for this. And that in marketing is one of the biggest fumbles that you can have, is to have a weak grand opening. And here we are, power brokers opening up their doors to as direct connection distributors, having no access to parts, limited access to parts, and no actual opening date. Only a real soft. Here's our catalog. Here's the people you can buy it from. And that's it, booby. You can't do nothing else because they don't know how to do any kind of real marketing to enthusiasts. It's bullshit like they put out there. Ooh, it's going to be the Hydra. Let's see what can we do for April Fools? Well, we can call it the Hydra, and you make up some stupid names and cut off the head, and we're actually going to move forward with the internal combustion engine. The problem is, not only was it horse shit in the sense of they're going to move forward with a hydrogen-powered 6.2 liter engine, supercharged, making 800 horsepower. The worst part of it was people believed one of the quotes from one of the fake people. It was this Ivan Tobraffery, which isn't even a real human being, when I Want to Break Free had said, and I put that in air quotes, that the electrification project and all this other, that was just a knee-jerk reaction to political blah, blah, blah. We're moving forward. This is going to be our branding. The problem is that if you didn't pick up on the naming, you'd be very forgiven to think that they were actually telling you the truth. See how misleading that is. People are reading this wanting to believe it. And yet throughout the entire process of this, it was never ha, 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 April Fools, la, 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 or here's what we're really doing with hydrogen, here are the plans, or how about this? Instead of playing around with people's heads and fucking with your enthusiasts, why not instead put something out on the EVs, on the STLA Large or the STLA Truck, and get people excited about the technology that you've already spent how much time and effort marketing to people. We know that this was fake, but the problem that we have is that in knowing that this was fake, we still have something that we have to deal with. And that is the fact that you, Dodge, haven't put anything out for us, the enthusiasts, to get excited about. And this is where it really does start to move into EV chat. Because this is where I talk about the fact that Chevrolet has the Silverado and the Avalanche now available. Ford has the Lightning, or at least I should say the Silverado is, as of the time of this video, orders are able to be taken on those things. The Avi's now definitely available, and you've got Ford's Lightning that's just waiting right around the corner. So this would have been a perfect opportunity, albeit not on April 1st, but we are starting Q2. See, this is the weird thing about April, is that April Fools, but because we're coming into Q2 and with the Never Lift program thing that's going on, was this going to be one of those garage doors opening? You would think that it would have been. You would think this would be big news to go along with maybe some big news for direct connection. Didn't work out that way. And what it ended up doing is confusing and misleading a very loyal fan base that at this point is clamoring and begging for anything cool, neat, cool, new, or exciting to come from Mopar, Stellantis, Dodge, anything. And instead of doing that, it's this real cheeky, stupid sounding, sophomoric, if I may add, effort to put together an April Fool's joke that left a lot of people really excited and then really let down once they figured out that they had been suckered. See, the problem with this type of joke, the problem with misleading enthusiasts in this way, is the fact that just like the EV where you're lagging behind desperately, you're also lagging behind your contemporaries, whether it's Toyota or whomever it might be, Yamaha, with their hydrogen offerings and their progress within hydrogen technology. So people have been reading about this for a while, not to mention the fact that Ford recently announced that they were going to have a turbo 4-cylinder hydrogen-powered engine, internal combustion engine for hybrids. So with all of that news out there, Dodge releases something like this that reeks of an April Fool's joke, but it's laced with what is in essence what could be truth. because the technology is out there and the rest of the manufacturers are working on this technology. So thanks, Dodge. Why don't you leave the comedy to the fucking comedians that know how to do it? Because you're making a fool out of yourself and you're going to start driving away true enthusiasts. And let me remind you of something, Dodge. Your buying demographic, as young as it may be, is not stupid. All right, you're playing on ignorance. And it makes people feel stupid when you do that. Keep it up, Dodge. People don't have sense of humor like you think they do. And I'll tell you something else. The folks that were sending me links and sending me messages were really getting hyped up about this hydrogen technology. And I can't respond to all of them, but in this video, I'll respond to all of them in kind and explain why hydrogen technology isn't quite as easy as you might think. This is something that I had quite a bit of interest in, even back when I was in college, and looking at different internal combustion alternative fueling options. We're talking high compression engines with propane, methane. We're talking high compression engines with ethanol, methanol, hydrogen gas, all kinds of different fuels to run an internal combustion engine outside of gasoline. So I put a lot of thought into this, at least at one point in my life. And I can tell you that hydrogen, although on paper it looks amazing, the biggest problem is fuel storage. There's just not that much. Hydrogen is not very energy dense. And so because of that, you've got to pack a lot into a small area, very high pressure cylinders. How do you store that? Safety issues. A lot of things come with hydrogen that are not exactly perfect. But that's beside the point. All that is just technology that can be engineered into existence. My problem is that Dodge played this stupid game with, I guess they were trying to be funny. Ivan Tobrokfree is still kind of a stretch. Dr. Mo Power Baby is probably a little bit better. At least some people would pick up on that. The problem is the good Dr. Mo Power Baby didn't come into the conversation until basically the bottom third or bottom quarter of the article. You would have already been led to believe that this was a real thing leading right up until that point. And let's say you didn't read the whole thing, you had a knee-jerk reaction, and oh my God, look at this great thing that Dodge is going to put out, only to find out that it's not really the case. Or if it is the case and it's working, in concert with the EV program? You kidding me? Why not, instead of trying to work in concert with the EV program, build the EV and start putting the thing out there, because your competition is mopping the floor with you, Dodge. So yeah, if it sounds like it's not exactly the most, lovey, huggy, kissy type of a response to this, like, oh shucks, you got me, Dodge. It's because people get upset when they are this enthusiastic about a brand. People get this upset when they feel like they're constantly being let down. People get this upset when they feel like they've put in the time, effort, work, and get a joke in return. And again, you can say, come on, Mace, get a freaking sense of humor. Oh, I've got a sense of humor. It's a very good sense of humor. That's how I know that this is some bullshit that they want to try to put out there as an April Fool's joke. Let me remind you guys, it wasn't that long ago where my inbox got blown up in April, because it's April, and guess what? Last week of this month, April 26th, which will be a Tuesday this year. Oh, happy Hemi Day. Remember that? 4/26, happy Hemi Day. Really? Okay. So let me get this across to you. I was blown up the first time that Dodge did a happy Hemi Day. So, oh my God, they're bringing back the 426. You had more guys swearing that the 426 was just around the corner, that it was just a matter of a few months that you were going to hear, oh, is this are they putting this just out there? Is this a hint? Is this an Easter egg? Hell no, what an Easter egg. They weren't doing anything like that. But the problem is that's how the public sees this. Again, take it this far though. I mean, this article, the article that was put together was obnoxious all the way down to the logo and everything else. By the way, pretty sick looking logo if you're asking me. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. Looked good. It definitely looked the part. But the reality is that too many people latched onto this story. Too many people were getting their hopes up, have gotten their hopes up, only to potentially, and with BS names like that, how could you not know that it's fake, right? Only to be completely let down. There's a lot of internal combustion engine diehards that are praying, begging that there's going to be some kind of internal combustion engine coming, and maybe there will at some point, but it ain't going to come like this. And one of the weird things about this whole thing, one of the things that really pissed me off was the wording. Part of it was, well, internal combustion, this is our buying demographic. I'm paraphrasing. This is our buying demographic. They are old school muscle car owners. We are not going to let them down. This is going to be who we're going to be servicing for generations to come, or whatever it was saying. There was some really good language in that release, that joke. And you would be forgiven, very forgiven, to have believed it. Because number one, you want to believe this, right? You want to believe that the internal combustion engine is going to stick with us, at least in some form. You've probably read about the potential for hydrogen as a fuel for internal combustion engines. So why wouldn't you believe it? The names are a little bit suspect, but if you're not picking up on these things, you're just going to burn through the article looking at, trying to read what is important. Got everybody's hopes up, Dodge. Bravo. Good job. Joker clap. Once it comes out that this is fake, and I'm telling you that it's fake just based on what I've seen. Once it comes out that this is fake, how many of you guys are going to jump ship just because you've been misled? Just because you were basically, people are getting a laugh at your expense? I'm going to say more than just a few people will be pissed off enough to maybe not even bother with Dodge again. Maybe start looking at these other manufacturers again. The manufacturers that you came from when you made the switch over to Dodge to begin with. That's how some of these little jokes can backfire. It's when you put wording that is so convincing into something like this, sprinkle in a couple of fake names just to try to be cute about it. Pick April 1st just because, April Fools. And then watch all the, watch the response. You can see these people sitting around going, oh, let's see what happens. Let's see what they say. Oh, this is going to be funny. You got a lot of things to get right, Dodge. Making jokes. That ain't your job description at all. Some would say the build quality of your cars covers that aspect nicely. How them cams coming? Hey, Ram owners. Sound familiar? Hey, Dodge, you got plenty of jokes. Why don't you try fixing those before you start writing stuff like this? Let me catch up with you guys real quick. We'll get back to it. Eric saying, good Saturday evening, Professor. What's up, man? Brando's asking about cams. Depends on how you drive it as far as fuel economy goes. Michael Groves is in from North Dakota. Nice. Gary Payne is in. Nitro Crew is in. Got the bald guy with the shades. With the flex. I like it. Yeah. Brendan's in too. Hey, Dad's asking, Kaniska's boyfriend is giving him estrogen pills at this point. These people have no idea who buys their cars. That's true, man. It's very true. Crypto saying that's funny. Crypto Cat is in with the flex. Chuck saying, I'm not excited about any EVs. I'll always buy Challenger V8s unless they somehow leave Earth. Well, that's kind of part of it. Hemi saying, we all want the 426 Hemi and not any of this crap they're offering. True that. Not like that either. Robo saying, I also share your frustration. Not cool to make a joke out of your core customer base. Real talk on that. Saying nothing like making us gearheads feel like outcasts. Well, to build upon that, nothing like taking old school gearheads and making them feel underappreciated, marginalized, making them feel like they're second class and playing second fiddle to something that you're, well, not even releasing yet. I mean, you're basically telling them 2 years in advance that they don't need you anymore. They don't want you anymore. And they'll tell you that in different ways, my friend. They'll tell you that, number one, in the fact that it's not an internal combustion engine of any kind. They're not going to stand behind their bad boy image. They're going to immediately go with the flow, except their immediacy was immediate to talk about it and very late to do anything about it. The second way that they're going to get you, and they're going to definitely make you feel marginalized or just emasculated to that point, is the fact that they're going to come out with something like, I don't know, STLA large platform, and it's going to be obnoxiously expensive. It's going to be a 6-figure rig. At least that's what we are to assume, because Dodge isn't giving us anything to work with. So add that to the mix, at least the speculation of that, and then throw in some kind of a piss poor joke with very bad timing. And you can only imagine that you're going to have guys that are going to get upset about this kind of stuff. We wouldn't be getting upset if we didn't care. We certainly wouldn't be getting upset if we weren't enthusiastic, especially about the brand and the image and the products that they make. But this ain't how you keep a customer base. But good point to that. Slash is in saying, hello, B. Chuck saying people who put out fake info should be arrested. Wait, is CNN safe? Is any media outlet safe? Rose coming from Emmanuel, I'm so jealous of your track times. Keep up the great work for his stock pulley guys. Oh, you got it, brother. Yeah, actually, I'm surprised what the car ran last weekend. You know, the car, which, and I have not had a chance to talk about this yet. I was thinking about talking about this on Tuesday, but my car and Chris's car both ran really well. The tune that, I'm not trying to break my arm to pat my back. It's just the tune that, you know, I've been working on for these things for Stock Boost really is really good. And as mild as it may be, it works really well. So to give you an idea, I'd have to look it up on the app. I don't have my other phone here. But to put it to you like this, in like 1,200 feet or like flat 1,000 feet, maybe, either way, it doesn't matter, same difference. The car laid down to 1027, and that's with the passenger seat in. Obviously, the roll bar, the anti-sway bar is in the car. You guys know how I roll with that thing. But I was surprised that the car ran the numbers that it did. I was running 27s, and then I ballasted my car with a set of tires to equal the weight of Chris's car, which is a sunroof car. Anyway, his car is always, oddly enough, made a little bit more power than mine, which was evident by like a mile an hour being slightly higher than mine usually, except for this latest tune revision type thing where my car is actually a little bit faster than his now. But ballasted my car, and we ran side by side. One of the top 3 races I've ever had in my life was racing his car, which is really cool because I tuned both cars. And when we put the cars on the scales, we were within 20 pounds of each other. So anyway, kind of neat stuff to talk about. But anyway, yeah, it's the car's doing it. Robot saying, can't do it, love my Mopars. Slash is saying, MSRP for a Scaddy in 18 was 39 grand, 2246. Yeah, that's nuts. Brando's asking if I put a cam in my scat, will it make me waste fuel? Yeah, it will, because you'll have your foot in it all the time. If you just cruise in it, no, not really. Brother saying, hey, Professor B, 2019 5.7 and recently installed the MagnaFlow X mod. Is a 3-inch exhaust too big for the 5.7? Nah, not really. It'll make it sound good. It's not really going to hurt anything. You may lose some partial throttle, some tip-in torque, but realistically, no. You're not really hurting anything with that. That engine makes enough power and can move enough air. You're not really hurting anything. Brandon saying, why do different car companies make very similar vehicles like Ford Crown Victoria and Mercury Grand Marquis? Is it because they ran? No, it's because those are market segments, large sedan. But the Crown Victoria and Mercury Grand Marquis are marks of the same Ford Lincoln Mercury family. So Mercury will have a slightly upscaled version of the same car, and Ford will have a slightly downscaled version of the same car. With Lincoln being, although mostly the same car with a lot of different body panels and things like that. So no, it's just different marks for the same vehicle. So getting back to it, guys, listen, if y'all were taken by this joke, and I call it a joke only because there's no other way to describe it, by this disappointing, again, I will use the term sophomoric effort on the part of Dodge to make a April Fool's joke. If you were taken by that, then listen, again, you're very forgiven for biting on it, because again, you have so much information that you're coming into this quote unquote so-called joke with. I mean, you've got other manufacturers that are making strides with hydrogen powered vehicles. You've got other manufacturers that are moving towards that, mainly because of a whole lot of different packaging reasons. You can take hydrogen with you, right? You can't just take an amount of electricity and Hadouken that into like your trunk and then drive around with it. It doesn't work like that, the way that it does with, like gasoline. So there's a convenience thing. There's a lot of reasons that surround the whole hydrogen argument, as far as it being better potentially than the electric variants. But the problem, and I can talk pretty plainly on this, that one of the big problems when it comes to the hydrogen riddle here, is, well, how do you get the hydrogen? I mean, you're not just picking hydrogen out of the air. Hydrogen, when you make it on an industrial scale, is actually made from it's kind of a mess to make, but anyway, it's not, but you got a lot. Anyway, it's made out of natural gas. So what's funny is that this clean hydrogen that they talk about is actually natural gas that they are under very high temperature steam breaking apart into carbon dioxide and hydrogen. Now, when you think about that, it's actually pretty funny, because you're taking natural gas and you're separating the CO2 and the hydrogen from the compound. So interestingly enough, it takes a lot of energy, as you might imagine, to create that process. It's not like what you would think of when you're thinking of like electrolysis when you're a kid, and you would, put the battery in the water and that thing would bubble and you get oxygen and hydrogen. It's not quite like that. That method just doesn't yield enough hydrogen in terms of mass. There's much more hydrogen in a hydrocarbon molecule than there is in a single water molecule. That's just the way chemistry works. And so when you break it down that way, it's kind of a pretty interesting sidestep to the whole, well, where does your electricity come from for your EV? Nobody mentions the fact that your EV runs on coal by way of a power plant and electrical lines. Well, in this case, your hydrogen car really runs on natural gas by way of a breakdown process which separates methane or natural gas through the use of extremely hot steam, and there's some other things that go along with this to create carbon dioxide and hydrogen. So my thought is, why don't you just start making natural gas easy to get your hands on? Remember when that was all the rage, propane or methane, or how are we going to use natural gas to power vehicles? That was a big deal for a long time, and for some reason it never really caught on. In this case, you're just taking out the middleman, and running a car on methane ain't necessarily bad. It's high octane. Again, you run into the same problems that you do with hydrogen in terms of actually being able to carry enough of the stuff. But again, you can engineer that problem away. No problem. It seems like it would be a hell of a lot easier than running it through the mill to try to separate it out into hydrogen. Anyway, there's that for you at least. And it's just funny to me that folks don't really think that through. They're extremely myopic, which is just a real cute fart smelling way to say short-sighted when it comes to what the actual environmental impact is of EVs, of the hydrogen powered cars. Now, granted, there are there's clean technology, which is attempting to try to break water apart and things like that on an industrial scale. I would venture to say that I would like to know where the electricity comes from for that electrolysis, or for whatever type of chemical process that they're going to use for that. I would be interested to see how that works out. So I have a feeling that it would be more energy consumptive to do that than it would be just to run natural gas. Seems like it'd be easier. Let's see. Nuke's in saying, hey, B, how you doing tonight? Doing good. I'm looking to buy a 16 black cat. Nice. With a 6-speed manual. What is your take on the manual cats? It depends on the mood that I'm in when you ask me. To be honest with you, I don't have a problem with them. They're fun. They're a little bit, they can seem to be a little bit sluggish out of the hole just based on the length of their first gear. I think it's a 228 first gear. It's the same first gear ratio as the Viper, which on the surface isn't bad, but you've got a 4,600 pound car that you're working with, or at least 4,600 pounds worth of mass, fully loaded with you in the car, full tank of gas, etc. And it just can seem to be a little bit sluggish. My thoughts on that car are, look, if you get one, you might want to put a 3.92 rear end in it. They come with a 370. I know it's not that big of a difference, but every little bit helps. I think you get like an 8% swap, 8% gain for that swap, and it's not that hard to do. Any shop's not going to charge you an arm and a leg. So maybe put a 392 rear end in it. The other thing is, I'm not big into pulleys and tune and anything else like that. If I am, but I'm not. So in other words, if I were to tune one, the only real thing I would do with a manual car is make the throttle, quite a bit more reactive. Give the thing a little bit more snap underfoot. You can do that with a pedal commander, pedal box. Those types of contraptions will do that for you. So, they're fun to drive. They're really fun to drive with a 295 upper pulley though. And you got 295 upper pulley and a set of 750 cc injectors, and you've got yourself a car that is going to be, that's kind of the sweet spot. So 3.92 gear, 295 upper, you go 3.0, it doesn't matter. I wouldn't go any more aggressive than a 295 though, depending on where you live, fuel quality, things like that. 3.0, 310 is probably really more the sweet spot. Give that thing a little bit more punch down low, make that car a whole lot of fun to drive. And then of course, do your clutch line mod. Tammy Dad saying, I knew it was a joke as soon as I saw it. April 1st, we were getting trolled for sure. Brando's asking, why does the Charger have 4 doors instead of 2? It's because it's built on the W211 platform, which is a 4-door platform. Hilton's asking, hey, B, what's out there for someone thinking about jumping ship from Mopar? ZL1. You want to find me running straight into the arms of anything, it would be a ZL1. No question about it. If not a ZL1, then I would find an 07, 08, 09 GT500, something along those lines. It would still be supercharged, but I would not be looking to try to cut a number with any of these cars. The ZL1, you can definitely get to where a Hellcat is without too much work to the car. But, something like a GT500 would just be something really cool, really fun to have. That'd be the older GT500. Aside from that, what would you do? If you're jumping ship from Mopar, really it opens up a lot of options. You want to go classics, you want to go something, completely different, build up a truck or something along those lines. But most guys, when they start splitting, they start looking at 4x4 stuff. So probably a new Bronco or something like that would probably fit the bill in that respect. Would for me anyway. Brando's asking, why do people buy manual Hellcats when the automatics are faster? Because faster is not better. Faster does not equal better for a lot of folks. It's a driving experience. It's because the Hellcat with a manual is very much like what you would have thought driving a B-body Mopar with a 4-speed back in the day would drive like. So it's a driving experience. Again, you have to define fast too. Faster in a straight line, faster from a roll. But the thing that I'm more concerned with is how fast does it get my heart pumping? What kind of, how fast do I get excited about taking this thing for a drive? And if you get a manual Hellcat and you've got a Barton shifter in the thing, you've done the clutch restrictor mod, you've put a 3.0 pulley on it, a nice little tune, bigger injectors, and a 392 rear end out of a Scat Pack. Dude, that car is going to be a riot to drive. And, so it's not about fast when, especially nowadays, you can't even define fast anymore. Is an 11-second car fast? Is a 10-second car fast? Well, it's certainly faster than an 11-second car, but an 11-second car ain't slow. What about a 13-second car? See, here's the crazy thing about it. Most people have no understanding of what a 13-second car runs like. They get scared to death of a 12-second car and an 11-second car realistically on a tire. Most of them wouldn't really know how to run the thing down the drag strip. So, at what point is fast? What does fast even mean anymore? Now we're living in an era where it used to be 10s were the new 12s. Remember that? 10s are the new 12s because the Hellcat came out. It's first commercially. Somebody got a healthy diesel running out there. Remember when, 10s were the new 12s? And everybody out there was going, well, the Hellcat, first mass-produced, commercially available 10-second car from the factory. Okay, well now 10s are the new 12s. Right up until that didn't last too long because now 9s are the new 12s. And so I guess if it doesn't run 9s, it's not fast. I can tell you this, my car doesn't run 9s. My car won't probably ever run a 9-second quarter mile time the way that I've got it set up. I'd have to pull some weight out of it to do it and obviously have some really good DA, but I can't tell you that I would have less fun in a manual Hellcat, especially if it's set up the way that that little recipe that I put out there. That's a good car. That's a very, very good car, by the way, in that setup. Maybe they can engineer a fart car. Just install a special seat cushion. Too much weed back in the 80s. I understand. God, that's a thing down here too, man. Everybody loves them some marijuanas. Stuart saying, thank you very much, buddy. Appreciate that. Asking, hey, B, at what point do you need to pin the crank on a Hellcat? Been building up the car safely to take it to the track. Stuart, let me just say this, man. Mine's pinned. It's a stock boost car. It's pinned because I run that car really, really often. And so there's that to consider. It's not a boost level though. My car still has the factory pulleys, and so I have a clutched upper pulley, which takes a lot of the stress off of the crank. So if you ever swap to a fixed pulley, non-clutched, like a Grip Tech or something like that, then that's when I would definitely pin the crank. The problem is if you pin the crank, now you're going to kind of, not 100%, but in a way you're kind of married to that pulley combination. I mean, you can still machine another balancer. You just have to take it to a machine shop and they can affix it and then just cut the kind of a half hole out of it to go along with your pinned side on your crank. But I would say if you're taking the car to the track a whole lot, then pinning the crank ain't necessarily bad. I'm real happy with running my lower pulley and my stock lower pulley and my stock upper pulley. If I ever, for whatever reason, decided that I wanted to put a different pulley combination on my car, y'all have to remember that I would still be running a pump gas friendly combination. So I really probably would never put anything smaller than a 3.0. And realistically, I'd probably go 3.17 on that car, mainly just to DA correct the thing for, the spring and the fall, just to have basically a 10.0 car, or at least a 10-teen car all the time. And then in really good air, run a 996 or something like that. That's the only time that I would ever put a different pulley on the car. And I'm still probably never going to do that anyway. But that being said, my crank is pinned and I don't ever plan on putting a lower pulley on the car. Obviously, if you ever put a lower pulley on the car, you would have to pin the crank. And again, anytime you decide you want to put a fixed pulley on that snout, I would say that it is a must to get your crank pinned at that point. And again, it's just because now you've got a lot of back and forth load on that crank, as opposed to just a lot of load in one area and then a little bit less or less than that on the negative side, if that makes any sense. Hemi Dad, thank you, buddy. Very much for that super chat, saying he got his Cat M6 just because it's more fun for me, not faster or whatever, but way more badass for us old school folks. Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at. I mean, there's something to be said for the connection that you have with a manual transmission car. It's not the same as driving an automatic. I can take Foxy out for a drive, and let me tell you something, that car, if it's on its best day, is an 11-second car, but realistically, that would have to be on a tire in really good air. It's, that'd be like an 1170 or something like that. That car, the way it's set up, and when you see me driving it on the street, that's like on a drag strip, that's maybe a 1250 car on those tires. There's just no traction. But the reality is that the car is a lot of fun to drive, and you don't think about speed. Speed is relative. Velocity is objective. Speed is subjective. And the Mustang actually feels stronger than the Hellcat in some areas. And it's not ever stronger than the Hellcat in any area. But the idea is that it is, from the butt dyno, more exhilarating to drive with that manual, which means a lot to a lot of guys, believe me. Chuck, thank you very much, buddy. Saying, thank you for your advice on my RT Plus shaker once again. Absolutely. The seat delete worked good with shaving off some time. Cool. I'm a stock RT Plus Shaker 6-speed. The seats can't stay out though. Yeah, true that. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it does help shave off some time. What we found, at least with our cars, is, we played around with seats out of the car, seats in them, and all of that. You can't really feel the difference, but you can definitely see the difference on a time slip. So, but thank you very much for that super chat, brother. Appreciate that. Appreciate the support. But yeah, anytime you're looking to shave time, shaving weight's the easiest way to do it. I mean, obviously within a reason, I would hope, but that's how the 1320s and the demons came, right? So just basically keeping track with those guys. Let's see. Sorry about that. I just blasted past this. Rose saying sluggish can be an understatement. Yeah. Oh, Crypto saying driving experience in a manual for sure. Yeah, there's nothing that compares to it. And that's why, Foxy is just such a dream to play with, because, it's every shift is very precise, locks in place. I mean, there's just something about being able to take that thing out and drive it. And I would like to drive it more. Sierra too. And that's another thing. It is all more about the driving experience than it is about the number. And I'll put it to you this way. Take Sierra, for example. Sierra, with its completely worn out, blow by having 400 small block, is still a treat to drive. That truck will lay patch like it's going out of style, and it doesn't make that much power, but it is like right now torque. And again, it's so much fun, and there's a lot of good that can be said about that type of a combination. And what nowadays, and this is the thing that kind of messes people up, is that fast isn't fast anymore. Sorry, I got a wardrobe malfunction with both of my shoes. Fast isn't fast anymore. And that's why you've got so many internal combustion engines. I'm going to kind of turn this a little bit back on topic. Why you've got so many ICE guys that are anti-EV. I'm not one of them. In fact, I'm very pro-EV, only because I see the EV as simply just another power plant for me to play with and learn how to tune. I don't see it as how some people have politicized it. Anyway, but you got a lot of guys that just don't want that. They don't want that driving experience. They want the ICE driving experience, and it's why those guys were so pissed off, myself included, with this little bullshit April Fool's joke that we got slapped in the face with. So, I mean, talk about not knowing your audience. This is like not knowing your audience, who are your customers. Literally your customers. In this case, for a very expensive automobile, and you're going to put them out like that. Just real bad look, man. Not smooth, not cool. Dodge, you market yourself as the muscle car, the vehicle for true American muscle car enthusiasts. That old school cool kind of swagger. Putting some cheeky bullshit junior high reject type of an April Fool's joke out there with just enough jargon and just enough smart talk to sucker in a lot of really loyal fans, only to find out that this is fake. Dodge hasn't come out with a rebuttal on this going, April Fools, gotcha. They haven't done that yet. And so what if I'm wrong? What if they threw in some silly names just to throw you off, and they really are working on a hydrogen combination thing? Damage is already done. Now it's going to look like you were trying the whole time to throw us off the scent of the EV. Yeah, Dodge, when will you ever learn? Anyway, getting back to you guys. Kobe saying, where are all the drag tires at? It's hard to find any rubber, even street tire rubber. It's a lot of it is overseas supply chain issues. That's the main thing that you're running into. It's just taking a while to get the stuff in still. Robo saying, yeah, it's the experience, not the track time for sure. Again, Stuart, thanks again, bud. Oh, Brando's asking, is it okay for Trackhawk owners to put a Hellcat badge on it? I don't know why you'd want to. I'd probably put the Hawk badge on it before I put the Hellcat badge on it. But if you want to, go ahead. They're both running the same engine. J-Master saying, man, I just got some drag wheels for my 1320. Will a TPMS light on the dash affect performance with a limp mode or anything? Hell no, it won't affect nothing. My car runs around with the drag set up on it so much, I'm waiting for that light bulb to just burn out. No, it won't affect anything, man. Rock out. It'll just annoy you, and when the dash thing, it'll come up and it'll have your car with the two dashes on either side. Ain't gonna hurt nothing. Don't worry about it. Oh, Hemi Dad saying people at Cruise always look in. If it's a manual, get an extra thumbs up for sure. Sean Blythe is in and saying, what up, Mr. Mason? Got the ball guy with his shades. America, like it. Just in from the track, 2019 Scatty on a tire went 750 at double nines. Very nice. Crossing the scales at 4610. Good job, man. That's a good number. Very good number for that car. Man, that is screaming. Oh, Stuart saying, thanks, B. I forgot to mention I have a 285 upper lower as stock. Pin your crank. Yes, like now. Like, do it. Do it. Do it. Brandon's asking, off topic, did you ever skip classes in high school? And did you go to high school prom? Damn right, I skipped some classes. And yeah, actually I did go to prom. Here's the funny thing though. I would skip some classes. I was running a business out of the woodworking shop making custom speaker boxes for guys. Back then, speaker boxes were kind of a big deal. Guys, lots of truck boxes. Anyway, I would skip class. I was buddies with my shop teacher and I would hang out down there and make speaker boxes. And these were classes that I could test out of. So it might be like an English class or something like that. I had my senior year, I could have graduated early. So I kind of didn't really go to school the second half of my senior year. I just kind of worked. I was looking at a full ride football scholarship anyway. So it was one of those deals where it was like, well, I'm going to go to a JUCO and play ball, and ended up being a little bit disillusioned with that. So that's when I went to what is now Texas State, went to U of H, played football there for a couple of years, and then went to Southwest and played rugby there. So and now it's called Texas State. It was Southwest back then. Chuck saying, I just don't like EVs, not because of politics, just the theater thing. Absolutely. I mean, I get that 100%. Stuart's asking, is this like the Dodge SRT ghoul joke? Yeah, it is, except it's worse. And I'm glad you brought that up because I'm reminded of just the really crappy jokes that they've done. Go back and faux pas that Dodge they just can't get it right. It's like you've got guys that are pretending to be car guys working for this company. It's really frustrating. The first one that really pissed me off was the Elephant stomping out the Hellcat badge. Like, really? Come to find out that elephant engine's a piece of shit, by the way. But yeah, funny that it's stomping out the cat print. Yeah, okay, whatever. The other one that pissed me off was they had, when they were releasing the super stock, saying the only muscle car with drag tires as standard. And it's like, well, hold up, or available or something like that. So, well, hold up, the 1320, which you can still order, has Nexen drag radial. So you're saying the 1320 is not a muscle car? I screenshotted that because somebody got their head bit off over that. Then you start looking at the Ghoul, which I don't even know where the Ghoul actually came from, but this seems like it came from Dodge. And the problem is it's got a whole lot of really smart talk in it. It's got some like well thought out bullshit coming along with it. So again, you would absolutely be very forgiven to have fallen for what they were saying about this. So, for the guys that saw that and jumped on it and said, man, this is awesome, check this out, they've got hydrogen technology coming, internal combustion engine is still going to be around, only for this to happen. Very, very frustrating and very, very poor taste. However, maybe we should grow to be accustomed to this in poor taste. Yeah, the same way that they got this 24 months of bullshit rollout. No leaks, no nothing, no spy shots, no anything to keep us hype about this EV that they're supposed to be working on. Or are they working on it because it was supposedly a knee-jerk reaction if you read the Hydra press release? It bothers me that somebody thinks this is funny. This is what happens when you get somebody in a position where you have that person having a really piss poor sense of humor or understanding of their clientele, if you will. And then that person gets surrounded by a bunch of yes men that just can't wait to go east and west in a fucking conference room to do whatever they can to curry favor with this guy. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing because our competition doesn't do this kind of bullshit. You don't see this from Ford. You don't see this from Chevrolet. You don't see this from Toyota. You don't see this from anybody else. It's always dumbass Huckleberry Dodge being stupid in the background, and it's not endearing and it's not adorable. It's like creepy, okay? It's like, don't touch me, you fucking oaf type of weird. That's what I'm getting from Dodge right now. And that's what I've been getting from Dodge. Problem is, I love the product. I just can't freaking stand the producer. So get your act right, Dodge. Grow up a little bit. And here's the thing. This would be different if these vehicles were marketed to a youth demographic. You can say, well, Dodge has one of the youngest demographics out there. Yeah, a lot of those people are buying used Scat Packs and used RTs. Some of them are really putting themselves out for Scat Packs at the dealership. But the reality is that the guys that you're pandering to are old school muscle car enthusiasts. These old school guys don't play these stupid games. They look at a ZL1 and go, I can put just a little bit of money into that. And he goes, how fast? Yeah, it's a little bit more expensive, but maybe it's a little bit more expensive for a reason. People start thinking that way when you're coming out with these stupid baby Huey clumsy ass April Fool's jokes instead of coming out with something smart, something invigorating, something that gets your core demographic excited and makes them want to go out and fly that Dodge flag. Instead, you've got some idiot with a bunch of yes men putting out garbage like this and having a laugh at your expense. And by the way, the expense that I'm getting at is that these cars aren't cheap. They're not cheap at all. $50,000-ish for a Scat Pack? How much is a Hellcat? 70 grand? Red Eyes are 90. Super stock's 100, and who gives a shit? They're too damn expensive. These are extremely expensive automobiles, and yet they're coming out and acting like this. Damn, talk about not dressing for the right position, man. You know, overalls and a wife beater don't put you in the freaking CEO's desk. But apparently, that's what they're thinking. A bunch of hucks, a bunch of, just idiots sitting around waiting for Dodge to just give us something fun and neato, and that we're all a bunch of fucking hicks that don't mind a fucking funny joke. Problem is, you got a lot of people that are very well invested in this. And speaking of investments, am I going to invest in a company realistically? Am I going to put my money where my mouth is and buy a bunch of Stellantis stock when they're going to put out bullshit and sophomore crap like that? Hell no. That is, again, extremely short-sighted. And it screams of some level of, I don't know what you call it, in the boardroom of this place. If this came from Dodge, from somebody in marketing, I'll put it to you like this. That somebody in marketing would have some explaining to do. Not big on kicking somebody on the curb, but damn, not a good look. And it's painting them to look very unprofessional. And in this day and age, looking unprofessional is every bit as bad, if not worse, than having somebody say, I'm not mad at you, I'm just disappointed. Because unprofessional, well, it carries the insinuation of not only unprofessional, but just flat out incompetent, which is what it looks more and more like to me. With the fucked up rollout of this Never Lift program, with direct connection floundering, no ribbon cutting for direct connection, by the way, which still blows my mind. The EV thing is still out and off in the ether with no updates. Meanwhile, our competition is throwing updates around like hors d'oeuvres at a freaking dinner party, and then Dodge releases this. Can't keep making excuses for you guys. This is just bad. Anyway, getting back to you guys. Marco's in saying, order long twos of high flow cats and intake for the C7. Boom, nice, like it. Miss my cam to ram. I understand that. C7's going to like it. Those cars are fun too. Very, very good ergonomically. Sovereign saying, hey, B, what's up, Sovereign? Saying, I had a feeling the Hydra was an April Fool's joke. The thing is, Stellantis is working on hydrogen, just a fuel cell, though. Well, there's that. Superstock saying, good evening, B, watching you for a bit on my break at work. What's up, Superstock? Glad to have you. Cody Zine saying, is it possible to run 15 PSI from a Pro Charger on a 5.7? Was watching a guy on YouTube, and he had one that was making 15 pounds of boost with the trans being a problem. The trans is going to be a problem. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, you can run 15 pounds. I would probably recommend, I say you can. The problem is that you start finding problems downstream with those cars after about 12 pounds of manifold pressure. So, but again, you can, it's just going to be very timing limited, which means you could be really cooking your exhaust valve with high EGTs. I would prefer, if he's running 15 pounds of boost in that car, because you've got 10.5 to 1 compression, to have that thing on corn and preferably see those ring gaps opened up a little bit. But, that's a whole lot of work for that. I prefer to keep the cars around 10 at the most. I think most of the kits you're going to see are going to be around 7 or 8. So, again, yeah, you can, but I just wouldn't necessarily. And again, you're going to start finding all the weak links, and the big weak link is going to be that HP70. And by the way, that the number on that car is probably somewhere around 600 to the wheels, give or take, which is about 70 horsepower more than I'd like to see run through an HP70. Brandon's saying, what category do the V6 Challengers go in? Because you saw the muscle look. I mean, they're a entry level automobile. They look good, but you know, it's just transportation, really. But they do have the look, and they work great if you want something that's inexpensive to insure. It gives you the look. It's a less expensive vehicle, and if you're into visual mods, like you want to put big rims on it, maybe you want to put different kinds of doors, sound systems, things like that, V6s are phenomenal for that, because you get plenty of power. I mean, it's still 300 horsepower. It'll scoot you around just fine. But you just don't pay the penalty for power. And again, if you're not one that needs any extra power and you're mainly going for the look, man, they're great for that. Nothing wrong with them at all. Brandon's asking, why do they say Dodge Challenger is American muscle if it was made in Canada? Well, Canada is still America. It's North America. So is Mexico, for that matter. X is in. He's got him in the right order. Got the arm and the ball guy. I like it. Ball guy with the shades. Thank you, Si. Red Dog saying, sup, B? Sup, Red? Oh, J Master saying, I wish Dodge would have followed up with SRT trim from the Dart. Such a missed opportunity. I agree with that. As a successor to the SRT4, an affordable car that can make great torque anyone can buy and beat on. The funny thing about it is, not only are you right, I was right there in the boat rowing with you, my friend. I was bummed that we didn't have an SRT4 version of that car, something with a lot of pop, something that, I mean, we're not talking, it didn't have to be a 350 or 400 horsepower combination. It would have been great at about 300. And you get the car, you get in it, you have a ball with it, you have fun. Would not have been hard to do, and it would have been a great successor and kind of a continuation of the theme of the SRT4, a continuation of the theme of the Omni GLH or any of the hot rodded four cylinders from, you know, the front drive stuff from back in the day. But I'm right there with you on that one. The Wolf is saying, I own a new red-eye Charger and I'm a professional, so the bar fight attitude from Dodge is irresponsible and entertaining to me because acting that way can't afford this car. Exactly. Oh, Dr. Divson saying, how's it going to be? I'll be listening in tonight. Didn't see the Hydra engine. I have to look it up. Seems far-fetched to me. The problem is that hydrogen technology is out there. It's a real thing. Guys have been running cars on hydrogen for years, or internal combustion engines, I should say, for years. And there's always been a question of storage, safety, outright power potential, and infrastructure to run cars on hydrogen. But it was a thing. Shoot, man, this is going back to like the 70s or 80s when people started really looking into this as a viable fuel alternative. And again, that along with your ethanol, your methanol, your propane, your methane, and every other thing that was out there, there was always somebody looking into how they can, in effect, use a different type of fuel. These alternative fuels all have high knock resistance, high octane numbers, for example. So there's some benefit there, but all of them have the same ish, I should say, to some degree or another. They all have the same drawback, which is, again, capacity, fuel carrying capacity, and with LPG, basically liquid propane being one that had actually quite a bit of favor for a long time in buses and garbage trucks and, heavy equipment, heavy vehicle usage for city vehicles. So, but, stuff like buses were a big thing. I remember LPG buses all over the place back in the day. So anyway, getting back to it. Oh, Cody's saying what would be fun is bringing back the SRT4 and put it either in the Dart, Journey, or make a new compact car. Heck, shove a 6.4 in the Ram with a 392 gear from the factory. The fact that they never did that, to me, frankly, it's a criminal offense. Dr. Diff's checking in with Sovereign. Let's see. Dr. saying, seems like the same old shit with Dodge recently being the last 2 years. Who the hell is running that place? Everyone going right. All promises, no follow-ups, excuses. Yep. Dr. Diff saying 15 PSI, better get rods and pistons. Yeah, well, there's definitely that because you're going to be running into a problem soon. And I know that you can get away with it, but here's the other thing. And to Dr. Diff's point, I know you can get away with it for a while. But just like the guys that boost the living piss out of LS engines, you can get away with it for a minute, and it works great until it doesn't work anymore. And, you know, that's just been my experience with that kind of stuff. Brando's asking, is the Dodge Dakota the son of the Dodge Ram? No, it'd be a baby brother. Dodge, Dr. Diff saying, or more so Pistons. Yep. Him saying Dodge SRT would have, Dart SRT would have been a killer for sure. Dr. Diff saying, oh, you already said that. Oh, you said that too about the ring gap and all that. Yeah. Or corn for sure. Let's see. Oh, April Fool's joke. The Wolf saying that the Z06 was being canceled. That was another April Fool's joke. I didn't see that one. I did not see that one at all. I was too busy yelling at my phone about the Hydra. Oh, Sovereign streaming on the phone. Cool. Brenda's asking if the Viper competes with the Z06, ZR1, and C7. Well, yeah, kind of, although the Z06 isn't really made anymore and there's not a ZR1 anymore. But yeah, for front engine rear drive, that's what you would put those up against for sure. Obviously, though, I mean, that's kind of should go without saying for those platforms. The Viper Vet rivalry goes all the way back to really 1996 with the GTS and the C6 Z06. Or what would end up being the engine, the Le Mans block, which ended up being the LS7 for those cars. Oh, Gary's hanging out with Doc Diff. Asking, do you have any of the throttle bodies to bolt onto the newly B Mason ported intake yet? Yeah, I had a backfill in that intake just in case. No, it's that intake's going to flow its ass off. That intake too, you should be able to just set the throttle body on there and go top right, bottom left, bottom right, top left, just kind of snug it on there. And then don't forget to center it. Just feel around and make sure you've got a little bit of the opening will be a slightly larger than that throttle body. So we're saying my dream car is a Dodge Challenger Scat Pack wide body 305s and hood pins. Those are nice. You know what? I'll tell you this. I am seeing more and more and more wide body Challenger Scatties than I've ever seen before. And I know I'm not seeing the same ones over and over again, but I am seeing a lot more of them. And the guys that have them, I mean, they are in love with them. So definitely a fun car. Oh, Doc's trying to get throttle bodies. He's trying to get a new supplier for those. Cody's saying I'll stick with 12 PSI max for an E-Force if I boost to 5.7. Yeah, and, buyer beware on that. You're at the mercy of fuel quality for that. Get with a tuner that can that can tune that thing and tune it safely. That's the biggest thing. The tune is going to be what keeps that thing really held together. And again, you're not going to be running a whole lot of timing in that thing. So just know that your EGTs are going to be kind of high. I wouldn't be doing any, mile passes with it. That's why E85 would probably be a really good idea for you, because you can actually run some decent timing in the thing. It'll make power, also drag those EGTs down a little bit. Brando's asking, why didn't they do a Challenger with a 305 horsepower V8 instead of a V6? There's no such thing as a 305 horsepower V8 anymore. Not like that anyway. And the V6, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the V6. 305 horsepower, 276 pound-feet of torque. Nowadays, you'd be running a very small V8 to get a 305 horsepower number, and the torque wouldn't really be any better. It'd probably hurt horsepower, actually. So, but they don't make a V8 that makes that low of horsepower. It wouldn't be easier to do that, so to speak. Doc's saying a little bit behind on the live feed. Gotcha. Oh, he's saying, yeah, the buses out there are LPG. Yeah, a lot of stuff back then. I mean, I remember a lot of buses running on propane. Oh, Himmy Dad's asking, what do I think about the donut maker thing? I think what that is that's just another way to try to employ a high-level influencer type. I don't know who they're, I don't even know, have they even announced who the chief donut person is? It's, that's one of those, that job position was selected before it was put out there. That's the way I feel about it. Dodge isn't going to give a true enthusiast a shot at that. I don't think. I just didn't see that. Not to be all sour grapes about this. I mean, if they would have called me, I'd have loved to do that. But I don't think you're going to see somebody in that position that's a true enthusiast. It's going to be a face. They're going to be a plant. And I just don't see it being something that, put it to you like this, as cringy as Dodge has been of late, especially, I wouldn't be surprised if they picked somebody that you just kind of went, what? Like that person gets that? It's going to be something like that. I can promise you. It's not going to be part of their core, the core group of guys that really fly that flag. It's going to be something altogether less impressive and probably somewhat nauseating, I would have to say. Ken, thank you very much, buddy. Saying, hey, B, can I drop your name at Pike's Performance? Time to get a tune. Whoa, what happened? For consistency if possible. No, highly suggest you drop my name with them. Give Jeremy a shout. Tell him you talk to me, and tell him you're subscribed to the channel. Let them know that you're coming from me. Make sure they take care of you. Let me know when you do too. I'll call there and give them a good word for you. But thank you very much for the super chat, bud. Appreciate that. Let's see. Oh, dang it. Nitro Crew saying, when I was with Dean Scusa's Funny Car back in the day, and we were sponsored by Mopar, and the April Fool's joke were campaigning a pickup truck funny car. They had two renderings too, very stupid. Yeah, stuff like that. I mean, it would be cool, right? Like that kind of stuff would be kind of neat. And Dodge, you would think, would be the one to do it, but it's always, some kind of a joke, I guess, Anyway, Y'all know my spot on that. Chuck saying my dream car is a super stock, but not sure if I would ever get one with the price if the prices stay high. I know, right? That's tough. Nike say manufacturers love the 2JZ model. 2JZ is a good engine. 2JZ is a good engine, which leads us to the GME T6 HO. What's that going to look like? Looking forward to that. I'm actually pretty stoked that we're going to have access to something like that. Even the standard output, the 22 PSI with the high compression, I'm telling you, that may be the engine to get, because if they have a standard manifold and not like the B whatever it is that the Supra had, with only had 2 exhaust ports on that cylinder head, if that engine has the standard output, I'm sure it's going to have the same rods, pistons, or whatever, or at least type of pistons, same rods. Anyway, long story short, if it's same crank too, but higher compression ratio, which tells me E85, and instead of 22 pounds on 10.5 to 1, I'm going to try to run, 32. So 32 PSI running through that higher compression on corn would be stupid nasty. And that would just be where people start. Because I can promise you, it won't be long until people are running 45, 50 PSI through those things and more. See how nasty those things start to get. Oh, Chuck's saying his RT Shaker isn't the worst car to be in for a few more years. Dude, awesome car. Lots of fun. Oh, X is saying, hit that like button. Yeah, hit that like button, guys. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, hit the personalized portion of that. That's the biggest part of it. If you want more great content like you're seeing tonight. Doc's saying he tests all the throttle bodies, which is good. Brand's asking, is there a major difference in power between the Scat Pack and 707 horsepower Hellcat? Yeah, there's a whole lot. It's about 200 horsepower and change. So yeah, it's a huge difference. And you know it when you see 2 of them line up on each other, because with every gear change, the Hellcat just marches even further away from that Scat Pack. They're close for the first couple of gears-ish. And a lot of times they're close because the Hellcat's spinning, especially if it has a 309 gear. Cody's saying, it'll make plenty of passes, so I'm going to go the NA route until it's time to build everything up. Nice. NA combinations are a lot of fun. And again, Ken, thank you very much for that contribution to the cause, my friend. Oh, Dr. Div saying, worked on a wide body Scout with a 428 I built a few months ago. It's on 13 PSI and pump gas. I know that car. Trying to get him to go corn or at least some meth. Intercooler is okay, but I want to ramp some timing into it. Yeah, I would go corn. I would not go meth. I'm just not, for whatever reason, I just get kind of sketchy with meth. If it's direct port, that's one thing. But if it's plenum, because of distribution, I get a little bit weird with that. Chuck's out. Good seeing you, brother. Thank you for stopping by. Saying, gotta go. Night all. See you, Chuck. Maybe Dad saying dead on the donut maker, I think. Yeah, I'm kind of like, I'm not poo-pooing on that promotion the way that you might think, for reasons that you might think. I look at it and I see what Dodge has done, and it's just not, I don't know that you're going to, I think it's going to be a cringy thing. I really do. It's going to be some big YouTuber who probably got big off of bots back in the day. But it's going to be a big YouTuber, or it's going to be, again, it's just going to be some cringy ass, like, what are you rolling that out there for? Hopefully we can keep the donut maker sober this trip. It's going to be something like that. Um, J Masters in saying, I've been hearing about differential trouble in later 392s, and my 1320 is in the same boat. Would you suggest while I'm in there to change from 309 gear? I race 1/8 mile and 1/4 mile tracks. Man, look, you could maybe go with a 370. I know that back in like 2018, 2019, 2017-ish area, there are a couple of guys that were campaigning 370 gear cars. I don't know that they ever had a whole lot of success with them, mainly because you would have to be on a prepared track to get the things to work. And you absolutely do need to get a tune, because you're going to be running up against this little annoying gremlin called predictive shift algorithm that will make the thing yip on the 1, 2, and 2, 3 shift. But take that with a grain of salt. You could even go with a 3.92 gear. Now remember that if you're running 305, 45, 17s on the back of that car, that's kind of the same tire that the truck guys run, and they run the 5.7 with 392s. So your effective gear ratio would be the same. It's just your acceleration rate would be much quicker. And so that's where you run into problems with predictive shift algorithms making the thing yip. So in saying all of that, I did pretty good with the 309 gear. We're able to get my car down into 1130s at very, very full weight. That's with the stock cam, stock manifolds with a cat delete. Not that the cat delete really did anything, but very full weight. With weight reduction, with the final tune that was on that car, we never ran it in really good air, but it would have been an 11.0 car, basically, and that's with the stock cam. With a lot of weight reduction, though. We're talking passenger seat, rear seat delete, drag pack, no sway bar, all of that. But it would have definitely run a teen Renault. And I know that because we ran 1125 with a combination that was fairly similar to that. So I know that I could have eked a little bit more out of mine with the 309. Now, would that have been any better with the 370 is the big question, right? I don't know that it would have been, but again, from what I had heard, it might be worth a 10th. So if you're really looking for a number, like really looking for a number, a 370 might be the right way to go. It might be a little bit of a pain in the ass though. And again, a 309 with a good tune is real difficult to beat. Put it to you like this. What did you say? What okay, you got a 1320. So to give you an idea, we were running consistent 1140s with 1320s with nothing more. I mean, in as delivered form, so stock front wheels, stock rear wheels on the Nexans with good air, really good air, but with the passenger seat removed. And these were rear seat delete cars. So there's that. I can tell you that the latest operating system is really good. I know that Racer X's old Scat Pack shaker was, I mean, he and I in that car both ran an 1157 to the number. So there's that to consider. That new operating system is good. I don't know that any of those cars would have been a whole lot quicker with a 70. Again, at the most, maybe a 10th. But it, again, is going to require a tune, and you're going to have to work around that yipping on the shift. That predictive shift algorithm will piss it off. It's the same as when you put a gear in a Hellcat. Gary, thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Saying, as always, thank you for the chat, B. Good deal, Dr. Diff. Man, appreciate that, brother. Thank you very much, Gary. Very, very generous of you. That super chat. Thanks, bud. Thank you very much. Cody saying, if Dodge's new engine can handle 700 horsepower with stock internals like the 2J, it would be crazy. Granted, the 2J was overbuilt from Yamaha for the purpose of snatching souls. Well, I can tell you this. If that engine can handle 700, I'll put it, or if the question is, can the engine handle 700? It's already going to be making 500. 400 in the standard output, 500 for the high output. I don't think 700 is going to be a problem. I think 700 might be where most people are sitting with that engine. I would say that, that might be an 800 horsepower capable, 900 horsepower capable short block, potentially. At least the block will be able to handle it. But the short block, the stock short block at 7 bills, I would say that shouldn't be a problem. Might be the top of the operating envelope, but I don't think 7 bills is going to be a problem in terms of reliability, which would make that thing a riot. Brando's asking, will you ever buy another type of fast car like a Camaro ZL1 or GT500, or will you just stick to Mopar? I am not as brand... I don't really have I don't really preach dogmas as much as you might think with Mopar. Although I do have quite a few Mopars in the fleet. I also have the Fox Body Mustang and the Camaro and the GMC. So if the question is, would I buy a ZL1? ZL1's kind of pricey, but they're not bad cars. GT500 is a different thing though for me. I would be looking at an older GT500. The newer GT500 I have absolutely no interest in whatsoever. I can tell you this, I've already bounced a couple of them handily at the drag strip, both of them on a tire. I was not impressed with what they had to offer, and you might say, well, on stock tire versus stock tire. Yeah, again, you guys know my response. If my aunt had a package, she'd be my uncle. That's kind of where I see that. And it's, well, if you do this, that, or whatever, and you're tuned and you're on this, it's like, look, bro, chill with the bullshit. The funny thing is that the first one that I beat, the guy was so pissed that the only thing I was really impressed by with that car were the brakes, because the guy hit like the first turnoff, or the first turnoff after the traps with that thing. And I mean, I put it on his ass. And he was on a set of ET Street R's. The second one was also on a set of ET Street R's. And I don't know what happened to him, but he did worse than the first guy. So I think that was really a whole lot of driver problems more than anything else. But would I be interested in something else? Why don't you show me something new that I can get excited about? I mean, talking about American cars, maybe, but I mean, y'all know I've got a stupid, dumb little crush on that chubby little Supra, and the 400Z shaping up to be a pretty sick little car, especially given the price point. So, I mean, there's definitely, some room in there for other manufacturers to pique my interest. But if Mopar keeps going the direction that they're going, I may not have a choice. But I can tell you this, it won't be at the expense of me getting rid of my Hellcat. I really like that car a lot and don't see any reason to jump ship. And understand this, with my criticism of Mopar comes a lot of love. If I didn't love the brand so much, I wouldn't be as critical. I wouldn't be as harsh on them. I wouldn't see things the way that I see them if I didn't care. It's in the caring and in the love of the brand and in the want of the best for the brand that I find my criticism, because I know things can be better. I know things should be better, and I know things can be better. It's just that, if I see something that I don't like, I'm going to call it out. I'm not going to be shying away from what is, in essence, an obvious flaw. I'm going to point it out, shine a light on it. Maybe somebody will pick up on it, maybe not. Nitro Cruz asking, jump forward 30 years. Do you think car guys will talk about how fast the Hellcat platform was or the Plaid? I think that the Hellcat will still be a name that would be recognized. In fact, I know it will be moving 30 years into the future. Because that is the first of the what is now considered fast cars to be unleashed in mass to the marketplace. The Tesla Plaid represents the new breed. The Hellcat represents the changing of the guard, so to speak. But the problem with the Plaid is that you can buy two Hellcats for what the cost of the Plaid is. I mean, you can buy yourself a Hellcat and your buddy a Hellcat and wheels and tires for both and go drag race each other. And that's the fun part about owning these cars. The thing is the Plaid in all EVs, by the way, so it doesn't matter. The Plaid can run 9s, it can run 10s, it can run whatever number it runs. The problem with EVs is that they are all, and I mean all of them, are all seriously one-trick ponies. And as the Plaids and the EVs get older, I think that what may overshadow their performance is the pain of owning an old EV. We're talking battery pack replacement, battery pack recycling, impact to the environment through that, for those that are interested in that kind of thing. Those are going to be the areas where the EVs like the Plaid are really going to get that's the big unknown. That's really where they're going to get their fame from, because by that point everything will be obnoxiously fast. I mean, you'll have 10-second minivans, and that's just going to be how life is. The reality, though, is the viability of that platform and how good can the batteries get. You know, it might be a situation where you look back and go, you know, is the Plaid the new Tucker? You know, wow, yeah, it was great. Yeah, it was fast. But man, I mean, you get that thing a certain number of miles and it's a pain in the ass, or the batteries are a pain in the ass, or what have you. All of that is a real concern. And, you know, to be fair, you're right to be concerned and you're right to be skeptical. You're smart if you're skeptical when it comes to these things. So, will the Hellcat be remembered? Yes, absolutely, 100%, no question about it. It is still the yardstick that people use to measure what is fast on the street. The Tesla, because of the price point, it's kind of difficult for a lot of people to get worked up over it. Number one, it's not internal combustion engine, but you got to learn to get over that. Two, though, and what people can't get over is that it is obnoxiously expensive. People can't afford a $130,000 car. And here it is, that car is 130 grand. And basically everything that's in that performance envelope is that expensive. You know, really you're talking, well, to be frank, you're talking super stock money for the Plaid, and the Plaid is easily nearly a full second faster than a stripped down super stock on its best day. And still super stocks sell and sell and sell and sell. And these are people that can easily afford a Tesla Plaid. So in the hearts and minds of folks out there, it's really not a question of will they still talk about the Hellcat. It's will the Plaid even be relevant in that respect. It's a lot for a lot of guys that are big into warbirds. There's a group of guys that P40 is like the ultimate airplane. What if they put a Merlin in the P40? They tried that. In fact, they did in England. Anyway, I can go on and on about it. One of my favorite airplanes. It just looks the part. Not the best performing contraption, although it will out-handle anything else that's in the sky practically. It just doesn't have the legs to gain any altitude. But still, people talk about it to this day. People talk about those types of aircraft the piston-powered aircraft and forget about the early MiGs, the F-86. They forget about, early jet stuff, the Shooting Star, and all this other stuff. They forget about that. They forget about the jet-powered stuff. They always romanticize about the piston-powered stuff, which is almost direct line of sight analogous to the Tesla Plaid versus the Hellcat. Of course, the jets were faster than the piston-powered aircraft. And of course, the EVs are going to be faster than the piston-powered cars. But there's no romance that comes with the EV. Not yet, anyway. Not saying you can't. Not saying there won't be. But there just ain't nothing that stanks right about it yet. And until that point, it just is not going to be something that people salivate over. I mean, look, this is when I start talking about how fast is fast and what designates fast. When everything runs nines, then nothing is fast, right? If everything is fast, then nothing is fast. And that's where we get into, like, with the manual transmission, the thing that we were talking about earlier. It's the driving experience. It doesn't have to be the fastest thing out there to be fun. And listen, when you're talking about obnoxious quarter mile times and obnoxious rates of acceleration, at some point, it just doesn't matter. You get to a certain point and it's like, yeah, no, okay, so it's faster, but I can't even relate to that level of fast. And most people have a hard time being able to relate with that level of fast. And so that's why it's, again, I always kind of will end up going back to some Warbird reference or something like that, but it's kind of true. And you'll never romanticize a Plaid, but look at all the charm that the Hellcat brings with it. Brando's asking, will the Demon lose to a normal Hellcat in a roll race? No, it will not. Cody's asking, with the tire, it would hook and book for sure. Oh, yes, Sovereign saying, hit that like button. Oh, Cody's saying, a lot of the newer GT500s I've seen on video only ever roll race with them. Rarely do I get to see a dig race. Look, they're great from a roll. All of those cars are great from a roll. But the problem is and the whole, what do you mean? And that whole world, so this is what blows my mind, man. And I don't know what their times are, 60 to 130. But let me just say this. If you're hammering on your car like that on public streets, it's not a good idea. I'm guilty of doing really stupid stuff, guys, for sure. So, dude, glass houses, right? But I don't have a lot of faith in the car, in the new GT500 transmission, okay? I don't have a lot of faith in that. Don't have a whole lot of faith in the longevity of it. I don't know what it would cost to rebuild it. There's just a lot of what ifs when it comes to that car. And when it would have been so easy to build a beefcake of an automatic transmission for that thing out of the 10R, or put a real honest to goodness manual transmission in the thing, that would have gone a lot further into getting me into the right frame of mind to have one of those things sitting in my garage right now. Fact is, they didn't go that route, and so I don't have to worry about it. But if the question is, would it have been better with that type of a setup? I mean, yeah, it would have been. A lot of people agree with that too, and there's a lot of people that agree with my assessment of that car, which is they won't buy one because of that. I want to. Normally, I don't mention other channels, but South Beach Dyno has a kind of a running thing that they were doing for a bit. And one of their cars is like a 93 octane effort that they're putting into the thing. I think they were trying to get nines out of it. I think they may have gotten a 9 out of it. Smaller pulley. Think about this. Smaller pulley, ported supercharger, lots of tuning. I forget the tire that they're running, maybe a 888 or something like that. Anyway, it is kind of tire limited, but that's not really the point. If you ever stumble across those videos, watch that car when it launches. There is so much clutch dust on launch. When that car comes out of the hole, the first time I saw it, I was going, damn. I mean, I know, I don't know how long those clutches last in those cars, but there's a lot of dust of something coming out from underneath that car. Looks like clutch dust. And if it's not, I'm hoping that it's not. But from the video, that's what it looked like. And it was the same thing every single time. And, you know, I was looking like, damn, is the car just rich coming out of the hole? Because I get that. You know, maybe they've got it running rich on tip in, low speed spark knock, you know, not a lot of timing down there. Anyway, I could understand that, but it didn't look like that. It was kind of coming center mass right out of the bottom of the car. So, you know, that was something that I picked up on, and I was going, oh, that's not good. I don't know that I like that. So anyway, yeah, that might be one of the reasons why I don't see him dig race a lot, or, you know, race at the drag strip. The transmissions just might have problems. Cody's saying, don't forget the love affair with the 4-cylinder turbos, which I do have. Hilton's asking, I see the new GR Corolla, 300 horsepower, 3,200 pounds, and a 6-speed manual. No, I haven't, but I'll definitely check that out now. J Master Zen saying, sincerely thankful for your time. Thank you for hanging out, my friend. That I have learned so much from you and demonology. Keep grinding. Thank you, bro. Appreciate that, man, for sure. You know, it's fun for me. It's fun for me, and I get to hang out with you guys, which is great. So I appreciate y'all a ton. Thank you very much for the kind words. Crypto saying, I got a closet car project, 89 RX-7 rotary coming along nicely. Very fun car, by the way. So, damn, back in the day, Gen 1 RX-7, I got my hands. How did I end up with this car? So I didn't own it. I just kind of wound up with it. It was a friend of my cousin's. It was white with black. Anyway, I think the guy was gone overseas or something, which is kind of like, I don't know. Anyway, I ended up with this car, and I would drive it like every once in a while. My cousin ended up coming by and picking it up and getting it back to its owner, the owner's family. But I ended up with this thing for like 2 months. Anyway, it's a lot of fun to drive, man. I like that thing a lot. So, maybe Dad's saying, I'm with you, brother. Hellcat is like the legend of the Flying Tigers. Yeah, and Sovereign saying, demonology is the man. Indeed he is. Yeah, you know, it's funny. You say, oh, that thing got pieced up by zeros and all this other stuff. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Different mindsets went into putting those planes together. Different mindsets went into flying them. And when they figured out what to do to deal with the zeros, they didn't have any problem knocking those things out of the sky. It will absolutely outturn a P-51, much less any of the Pacific theater planes. Will make mincemeat of one of those things in a turning fight. The last thing a 51 wants to do is even come near a 40 in a turning fight, especially near the deck. That 51 will be just Swiss cheese. And that's not me saying it. That's coming from guys that have flown both aircraft. And I can't remember the guy's name. Saved my life. Anyway, he was kind of like the Jeremy Clarkson of pilots. I cannot remember this dude's name. It goes back to like the 80s. And the guy was, you know, he's like, you know, he expected the 40 to be like kind of clunky and not all that great. And then he flew guy's known for flying 51s, Corsairs, Hellcats, Bearcats, 109s, 190s, you know, all the stuff from that area. Anyway, he flies a 40 and he's like, whoa, this thing's actually really, really good. So, you know, the Aussies did some really cool stuff with those things. They're actually hot rodded the living piss out of their 40s, which made them pretty nasty aircraft for their day. So anyway, getting back to it, Gary's saying, who all is heading to Challenger Fest in Tennessee? I will not be able to make it, unfortunately. I am very tied up locally. So, and I'm bummed that I won't be able to go too. Brando's asking if I think they're going to add any power to the V6. Negative, they're not. Amy Dad said P40 drives like a brick too. They will they will outturn pretty much anything in the European theater that's not a 109 or a 190. And really the 109 is just because it was super lightweight, but it would hold its own with some of the hot rodded stuff that you would see. But when it came to the real flickable stuff, it would obviously, basically it's hammer down, literally hammer throttle, hammer trigger, and then get the hell out of there and just don't get into a climbing battle with the zero. That's all you got to remember. Yeah, dive like hell, use your altitude energy, come down on top of them, strafe them, take them out, try to get them to chase you. Chase you out of the theater when they get bored. If you've got somebody checking them, then start climbing immediately, but do not try to out climb them. That's the trick. Pour on the power and don't worry about throttling the supercharger. Just bury the freaking thing into the firewall. Maybe Dad's saying just dive and kill and keep hoeing. Hell yeah. So that's how they would do it. By the way, fun fact, since we're talking about warbirds now, the Hellcat, the F6F Hellcat that the Hellcat is named for, the car is aptly named Hellcat. It's kind of interesting because Hellcat, highest killer ratio in World War II, had the aerodynamics of a pregnant pig, lots of horsepower though, incredible climb rate, and so when you start to look at, had real strong acceleration, which would be your climb rate. Again, had the aerodynamics of a pregnant pig. It was fairly inexpensive and actually a bargain for its performance level, which is, again, kind of walking in lockstep with Hellcat's, the car. Mass produced, they cost about half as much as a Corsair, and you got about 95% of the performance envelope. So what's not to love, right? So anyway, if you ever wondered where the name came from, it actually came from an aircraft. And that aircraft, again, had a lot of things going for it that kind of in a way translated to the Hellcat car. Again, highest kill ratio, lots of horsepower, but about as aerodynamic as a barn. Amy Dad saying, yep, Grumman Ironworks, tough as a fighter can be. Yeah, also heavily armored as well. But yeah, so guys, I'm going to start wrapping it up here. Hopefully y'all get where I'm coming from with this Hydra thing. Y'all know where I'm coming from with that in terms of my thoughts, and a little bit bad timing, just not a real good delivery on that joke. That's like one of those jokes that just don't land. But it's tough love. I criticize because I do like the brand. Just next time, why don't you give us something to go along with that whole production that you put together for your EVs. But guys, with that, that's a wrap. I want to thank each and every one of you guys. Would not do this without you. Love each and every one of y'all. Thank y'all so much for the contributions to the cause. Helps me keep doing this. And with that, you're going to sit it, don't bend it. Keep your shiny side up. Get out there and do something cool for somebody. They need it more than you think. Ray, miss you, love you, brother. And with that, that is a wrap. Y'all are great one. Catch you on the next one. Adios.